starting back over, I started working out with Travis, and that's helped a lot because then it, working out with somebody and keeping each other like accountable helps, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas now, so I worked out with him yesterday, but this morning, because I like to work out in the mornings. He didn't wake up this morning, so I worked out alone.
He didn't wake up?
Nope.
At all?
No, I don't know.
Should we call him?
Well, he's probably fine.
I've been told, just by certain people, we have the best beards in the office.
Oh. Well, I feel like we really have the only beards.
I mean, there are other beards. But, I mean, look at us.
That's true.
Right? Who do you think between the two of us, though, has the better beard?
Well, I would say you.
Well, I think we should leave it up to a vote. I think.
Yeah, let us know.
I think in the comments we should hear from our home audience.
Who has the better beard?
Who has the better beard?
If you say me, I'll tell you what. Don't tell my wife. I actually talked to her the other day about growing it out longer.
Yeah.
She was not happy. But if I win, I'll grow it out longer.
What people don't know is that I don't have a chin. There's like nothing under here. It's like tiny, tiny little baby chin. And Melody, like, I'll just mess with her and be like, hey, I'm gonna shave, or whatever, or even get the clippers out and pretend like I'm gonna do it, and she freaks out. She's like, do not do it. It's not that she doesn't like my chin. It's just I look like a 12-year-old.
I had a pretty long beard. Some of you guys in the church may remember that. And then me and Hannah started dating, and I got rid of the beard. Yeah. Because we dated before, and then I grew it out, and we started dating again when it was long, and she did not seem to like it. Mustaches are kind of making a comeback. So's the mullet.
Yeah.
Although I don't think it should. I had a mullet as a kid.
Dude.
And it was awesome.
I mean, mullets have made...
They're making a comeback.
Speaking of mustache, Mark Embry the other day.
Did he have a good one?
He had a pretty good mustache. I was like, I saw him walking into church. I was like, dude, I love it. So, hey, Mark, if you're watching.
There you go, Mark.
Keep it up, man.
Proud of you.
Good for you.
And your mustache. Yeah, good for you.
Well, church, this is session
14. Just 4.
Just 4. Of Who Are You?
Who are you?
And you may have seen session 1 with Pastor Shane and Pastor me. Pastor Daniel. And we were introing kind of what we're doing. Well, today we're actually finding out who Pastor Shane is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, welcome to session 4.
Yeah.
So, who are you, Shane?
Well, my name is Shane Gregory Spangler.
See, I like that you just gave me the whole name.
So I actually, this may sound, I don't know, conceited, whatever. I really like my name. I really like my name.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I always have. It's actually, there's a thing in my family where every firstborn male has their dad's first name as their middle name.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, my dad being Gregory John Spangler.
Right.
Me being Shane Gregory Spangler.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, if I have a son, his middle name will be Shane. And I find that very hard to find a name for. Just because I've been Shane Spangler my whole life, I'm like, what else goes with Shane other than Gregory?
How long have you and Hannah been married?
Who? We have been married 4 years.
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years in October.
Okay, and she grew up in Taylor.
Taylor, Texas.
Taylor,
her mom is from Taylor, Texas, her whole life.
Yeah.
And so Hannah is a Taylor duck. Which, if you're ever around me and Hannah calls me and you hear my phone quacking, that's why. Because also, when me and Hannah were dating, she used to say yep, yep, yep a lot. Which, I don't know if you were a kid in the 90s like me, but there was this show called Land Before Time.
Yeah, that's right. Yep,
and there was this character called Ducky. And she'd always go, yep, yep, yep.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So where'd you grow up, Shane?
Well, so I don't claim Texas as home, although I've lived in Texas the majority of my life. And I don't claim Texas as home simply because although there's a lot about Texas I love, love my church family, love my family who now lives in Texas, my immediate family. Love my wife who's a Texan through and through.
Yep.
But I hate the weather. And I hate the flatness. And for all of you out there who say, well, Texas has mountains, I submit they do not. Texas has foothills of mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I've had people my whole life tell me, well, the Rockies are in Texas. Technically, okay.
Yeah, the
not
Cascades of
yeah, like it's a very different.
But it is a very diverse ecosystem.
You know, and the thing I do love about Texas is, man, the people in Texas I feel like are always the nicest. You know, there's any other state you go to, not to hate on other states, there's nice people in other states too, but man, Texas is so nice. I ended up going to Baylor, Sikkim Bears, and my best friend from high school actually went to Baylor with me. We were the only two that year to go to Baylor.
Oh, yeah.
And we both went 4 years, remained best friends. He was the best man at my wedding, and he's a great guy. So Brett, if you're watching, what's up?
So when did you feel the call to ministry?
The first time I really felt like, I think I'm going to do something in the ministry when I was 18. And, well, actually I was 17 because I just graduated high school. And I just remember there was this video, JD Umber, if you guys remember him, he was my youth pastor. And I remember, I even think it was like at a D Now or something, I don't remember, but there was this video showed of these missionaries in Africa. And something just connected with me that I was like, man, I love this. You know, this is what living the gospel looks like. Even though I would even say that, you know, really, when I was younger, up until, you know, my senior year of college, I would honestly say I was really more of a Christian atheist, if you will, right? I knew God, I believed in God, I just didn't live it out, you know? But when I was 17, I had the first, like, tinge of, like, man, that's what I want to do. Like, I see myself doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, went into college, lived the college life, and kind of just didn't think about it much. I remember in 2010, John pulled me aside at 220 and was telling me this vision he had of the church, you know, not of Declaration, but just God's given me this vision, and I feel like, you know, you are supposed to be a part of it. He's like, I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know anything about it. God's given me this dream, and, you know, and I was like, cool, man. Great. You know, that was the conversation. And then, you know, fast forward 6 years later, and
you've seen God do a lot at Declaration.
Oh yeah.
You know, these last 6-7 years, you know, that you've been a part of the ministries here. What do you think our purpose is in Spring, Texas?
I would say I think Declaration has changed quite a bit. Now, only in the sense of actual. I think in our minds we always wanted it to be really what we're chasing after right now, but now I see it so much more tangible of like, man, this is not only is it attainable, but we're living in it now. One of the biggest things I've seen God do, of course, is the land. Like, it just blows my mind still, because I remember driving around Spring, you know, with John and looking at all the land and just being like, what are we going to do? You know, like knowing that there's 8 acres here for 10 million and 10 acres here for, you know, and you're just like,
what do we do?
You know, the area's booming, which is great. So of course, you know, you want to have a church there, because where people are, that's where you want to go, you know, and just being overwhelmed. And then to know that now we're sitting on 113 acres,
something like that,
for a little over $2 million. Like that to me just blows my mind.
Total God thing.
What I feel God is pulling out of Declaration is, one, a place of community. I think that's the biggest thing is, and not just you know, we have friends that go there, but man, I feel like I've met so many people at Declaration that I would consider more than friends. You know, that feel like family. You know, and people that, man, I can't imagine my life now without knowing them. You know, people like Jacob, people like you, like Travis, which people may not know, but me and Daniel actually met before, but did not remember each other at all.
Have no recollection.
And we like hung out for a whole weekend. There's pictures of us with our arms around each other. No idea that we had ever met. I don't know. There's so much that I feel like God is doing and wanting to do through Declaration, and I think all of it stems from community and from relationships. And I think when you look through Scripture, you see, I mean, obviously Jesus had his friends. And, you know, he had his 12 disciples. He had hundreds of disciples, but he had his 12 disciples. And then even from there, he had a closer-knit group of friends, right? And I think that, man, when you look at Jesus, the way he lived, of course, we're the bride of, you know, the church is the bride of Christ. And so the church is supposed to look like Jesus, right? I mean, you think of it in the sense of, as people get older and they're married, you read all these things about how they begin to look like each other, and that's just because you spend so much time talking with somebody.
Right.
Your face is going to start doing the same thing their face does, right? And so you're actually going to start to move the same and act the same, and so that's what we're called to be as the church is, living and walking the same way that Christ walked. And that starts with community. That was the first thing that Jesus did whenever he started his ministry, was find his group of people to follow him and to live life with.
Right. And it's the intangibles, right? It's kind of what you're saying. It's that people now are experiencing authenticity. Yeah. It's that when people, it's something we all yearn for. And then, like you're saying, relationship and closeness. And then when people experience the presence of the Lord, there's no denying.
Absolutely.
Declaration's a very special place. Yeah. And man, you and I feel we're just so blessed to be a part of what God's doing and partnering with what God's doing.
And I know that we've talked about it. Now, I've talked about it in Epilogue a few times too, but Declaration has also been such a place of healing.
Yeah.
John will tell the stories of when the church first started. You could look out in the congregation and there would be pastors everywhere.
Yeah.
People who have, pastored churches. Maybe they were student pastors, maybe they were worship pastors, whatever the case may be. Yeah. They were just everywhere. And now a lot of those people have left to go work in other churches.
Yep.
And when you think of that, man, that's such a good, to me, whatever the season God calls me to next, whenever that is, whatever that looks like, Declaration is going to have such a special place in my heart, because where I was kind of turning away from churches and kind of living in that life of, and honestly living that lie that I don't need the church, I just need Jesus.
Yeah.
Where now, I don't think I could ever, if I ever go anywhere, I couldn't not be a part of the church.
Yeah, that's
because
good,
I realize how important it is to be in community.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what church is. Church isn't a building. It's not, church is all about the people.
Well, hey, dude, that's such a good word. I appreciate you sharing that today. Man. If you have any questions for Pastor Shane, leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. But man, I really appreciate you taking the time today to kind of share your heart and where you feel God's moving and where you see Declaration going.
Yeah. So, also, I'm going to just throw this out there for everybody. So right now I'm currently working on starting a digital missionaries.
Oh yeah.
Which, if you want to know more about that, essentially what that looks like is, so we stream, I'm sure you guys know by all the cameras everywhere, we stream at 9 o'clock, we stream at 11 o'clock on Sundays, and we stream at 5:30 on Sundays. And really, the whole purpose of a digital missionary is to be missionaries. But, like I said earlier, a lot of the people who watch our streams, they may not necessarily be in Spring, Texas. A lot of them aren't even in the United States of America. And so what we want are people to build relationships with them, and to, continue to pray for them, be for them, and as much as, Scripture says we're, the Great Commission, as it were, and, go and preach the gospel to all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the world. I think that's the right way.
Yeah. You would kind of maybe equate that to like a digital pen pal.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you want somebody, they need community just like you do. And so, and especially in other parts of the world that, less than 1% of the population claim Jesus as Lord and Savior, they need that encouragement. So absolutely, I think it's a vital part of the ministries that we do here.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about that, give Shane an email. Check out his emails right here.
Shane@declaration.org. Super easy.
It's like right here somewhere. Right here.
Right here.
Here. Oh, it's down.
It's over here.
It's probably
over his face.
It's in this. I can put it over my face.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Well, Shane.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for taking the time today.
Absolutely.
So this is session 4. And we've got more coming. So you're going to hear from Pastor Shannon soon, Pastor John,
Pastor Travis.
We already did Kevin. Yeah, Blaine's coming.
And Daniel.
Hey, yeah, me. At some point.
And Pastor you.
And Pastor me. Okay, well, tune in next time. And we love you. Praying for you, church.
Absolutely.
And
yeah. Again, email me, shane@declaration.org, if you want to know more about what a digital missionary will look like.
Hey, you want a sweet tea from McDonald's?
Might as well.